Sharkie Gamer here. So today we're taking a look at the Saitek Cyborg Command Unit. So this is basically the sequel or the new release version of the original Saitek Pro Gamer Command Unit. They are very similar devices. This version of course has a Cyborg branding and it is slightly improved over the original. I have done a review of the original, so if you want to go check that out, I'll put a link down in the description that you guys can go watch that if you want to. If you have watched that already and you're coming to this one, you may find the two reviews very similar, and that's mainly because they are very similar devices. This one does have some slight improvements over the original, but essentially they are the same type of device and they do the same sort of thing. So going into the Cyborg Command Unit. So first off, I don't actually have the packaging for this one. It's very hard to get this actually complete with its original packaging, so I ended up getting it loose. But if you want to check out what similar packaging would look like, if you go check out that original Saitek Command Unit review, I show the packaging and unboxing sort of that one. The packaging for this would be essentially exactly the same, except this one would have had the Cyborg branding on it, but the packaging would mostly look the same. So going into the review itself, so you can see straight away by the first look at it, it looks very similar to the original one, very similar design, pretty much the same sort of body they used for this one as they did the original, so they didn't change much in that regard. They did change the color scheme. The other one was kind of silver and black grey buttons, but this one of course is black and the red to match that Cyborg theme. And of course just down here it says Cyborg Command Unit, and of course has that little Cyborg logo. It's got a USB connection, and the cable is a decent length. It's not that long, but it should be long enough to go to your computer from where you place this on the top of your desk. Now going into its functions. First off, the keys themselves. Now the keys act just like your standard keyboard keys, so they feel the same as keyboard keys. And they feel pretty nice in comparison to some others. They're just your standard keyboard keys, so unfortunately they're not mechanical or anything like that. But having said that, they still work pretty well. They press down and they respond pretty well to you. Get these in focus. You can see in the middle there they've got the WSAD keys, and around the edges here you've got kind of numbers, and that is because all these keys are customizable to whatever you want to assign to them. And of course the top there you've got 4 F keys as well. Moving down to the side here, you've actually got an adjustable side unit. So not only can it tilt both ways like that, but you can also turn this and actually move it down or move it back up again. So you can adjust the position where you actually want this to be placed. So the idea behind that is when you have it a certain place, your thumb will align really nicely when you're actually holding it. So you can adjust that perfectly to where it aligns your thumb, so you're really comfortable when you have it on a surface and you're sort of playing with it, so it matches your thumb position perfectly. So to put it wherever you're comfortable, which is actually the first kind of improvement over the original. The original Command Unit, this thing used to get jammed sometimes and it wouldn't turn, or it'd be really tight to go up and down. It would do it, but it would just be very tight to adjust it. This one is actually a lot more looser and easier to use, so they have improved that kind of mechanism a little bit. Now on the side portion here, you've actually got 2 buttons. These press down really nicely, and again you can assign what you want to these. And on the side here you've got a 4-way hat switch, so of course you can assign things to this one as well, and this is pretty good if you want to use like for inventory swapping, weapon swapping, etc. So it's pretty good for that. Down here on the kind of palm rest you've got another button, which again you can assign things to it, but it also acts as a shift button. So it's more your shift button than really a customizable button, but you can still customize the functions. Up there it says Saitek, and of course it's got that cool kind of line going down there to match that Cyborg theme. Now up the top here again, there's actually a mode switch. This is actually used to change the actual LED lighting, as well as swap the 3 different modes that you can assign different profiles to. So it's sort of just an easy kind of mode switch. And you'll notice it has red, yellow, and green. And this slides between the 3 of them, and that's because those 3 modes are telling you what color the LEDs are going to light up. So this has LEDs that are red, yellow, as well as green. And you switch between them and the keys light up in that color. So now, with all these keys themselves, they are completely customizable with the software. So the Saitek software, you just download that and you can go through and customize it. Now this thing swatches between 3 different modes, but between the modes and assigning all the keys and buttons, you get to about 144 total programmable commands that you can assign to this command unit. So it's pretty cool. It's a lot of customizable commands you can assign to it, and of course that's brilliant for FPS or RTS games. You know, you can assign these categories of this to certain kind of types of games. So you can assign the red to FPS, you can assign the yellow to something else, you can assign green to RTS, whatever you want. So you can assign them to certain types of games. So if you want a similar layout to certain, like say you got a shooter, say you play a number of shooters and you want the same sort of commands assigned to all of them, well, you can make an FPS dedicated profile, and so just switch that whenever you're playing an FPS game. So you do have that kind of option. Now, like I mentioned before, these keys are backlit. They're usually laser etched, and they can light up in the 3 colors, the red, yellow, and green. And they show up quite well in the dark. And I'll just kind of show it. I'll just plug this in and kind of show you how they actually light up. So we'll just power this up, and straight away it lights up. And you can see this is the red. If you swatch it down to yellow, that'll be yellow. So that's yellow, and that's green. So yellow, red. I'll just turn one of my lights off here so you can get a bit of a look in the dark. Yellow, green. So they're quite bright and they shine up, and another improvement over the original, as these top keys actually light up. The previous version of the command unit didn't light these top keys up at all, so these keys weren't lit whatsoever. It was just this portion here, but thankfully they actually lit it up so that these keys actually all light up, including the top ones, which is really nice when you're playing a game at night, so you can still see those keys as well. I don't like the yellow color. I think the yellow is the worst of all the colors that they've put on this one. The previous version had blue as well as the green and red, but this one actually has yellow, and I don't know why they did the yellow. I don't really like the yellow at all. So yeah, those are basically the colors for it. Let's light on. And they do shine up quite well in the dark. They work pretty well, like I mentioned, so there's no problem with that. Easy to switch between them, and the colors also represent something, because of course they are saying that they also work with different modes, so you can assign each color, each mode, to 3 different profiles. So you could have like red, first person shooter, you could have the yellow, something else, green, RTS or whatever. So you can assign the different colors, so that way if it's glowing green, oh, you know, I'm on RTS mode. So you kind of can know which mode you're in based on the color, which is a quite cool feature, so you can swap the 3 profiles on the fly. It makes it really easy to do so. And like I said, major improvement, the fact that they've lit up this top row of keys and compared to the previous version when they didn't. So really, if you are doing a summary in terms of the differences between this one and the original one, they've improved this mechanism here to adjust. They've lit up that top row of keys. Of course, the color scheme physically is different, as well as the light scheme they've done for the LED buttons. So those colors are a bit different. Otherwise, it's sort of just the same. They've just branded it with the Cyborg brand. There's not really too much improvements. The buttons feel very much the same. Most of it feels pretty much the same as the original. But overall, it's a very customizable keyboard replacement. It's small, compact design. It means it's great to take to LAN parties or to friends' places because it's a lot smaller than a huge full-size keyboard. The backlit keys, like I say, are very visible when you're gaming in the dark, which is always cool to have the keys, even if you're not always looking at it. If you want to look at it, you can. You can see exactly what key that you need to press. This side piece here, it's pretty cool. You know, it makes it a little bit more customizable to fit your hand. You might like it more tilted this way than you do this way, so it comes down to personal preference, and you can set it to exactly the way that you're more comfortable to do it. The keys, like I say, they feel like keyboard keys, so they're pretty nice to use while gaming. It's just like using your normal keyboard. So it's a great little keyboard replacement, very customizable, easy to use. The software is really easy to customize what buttons you want, and of course to assign the profiles, so you can just switch between the profiles that you want to do. Now, in terms of finding this is a bit harder to find than the original version of it. The command unit was pretty hard on its own, but this one is just really hard to find. You don't see it very often, especially not in its packaging. So it's become sort of a bit of a rarity, this one, compared. I don't know why this one's a bit more. You would think this one should be more common, but you don't see it as often, and it tends to go pretty high. Now, in terms of that kind of rarity and compared to the original one, like, this one is more expensive to buy than the original one, and like I said, there's not a huge amount of differences. There is a couple of slight improvements, but overall it's the same sort of design and body. I mean, you've still got that light down the bottom there, still got the same sort of placement of the buttons. They have had some slight improvements, but nothing really drastic that would make you get this if you've already owned the original one. So in terms of differences, they haven't really done too much whatsoever. It's almost like they just wanted to re-release it under the Cyborg branding, and they sort of just wanted to just improve it slightly so it is a little bit better, a little bit of a new release. But it really, when it comes right down to it, it doesn't matter if you get this one or you get the old one. So if you like the actual look of the command unit, you think this is going to be the kind of perfect shape for you, then it doesn't matter which version you get. It really doesn't. If you see this on eBay or you see the other version on eBay, it does not matter. They work equally good. They both work the same. This one has some slight improvements, but really those slight improvements don't really make it worth more money, which, like I said, on eBay, and especially eBay, this thing tends to sell a lot more than the original one does. So just something to take into account if you're considering getting this one. But overall, it's a great keyboard replacement. It works really well with all types of games, especially of course RTS and FPS, because these are kind of designed around customizing all your keys to work perfectly for whatever game you're playing. So overall, it's a great keyboard replacement. It works really well. I wish they would have made a bit more improvements over the original one, instead of leaving it pretty much almost identical. But they have improved it slightly, and it is kind of cool to have that top row of keys lit up and compared to the original one, which was one of my complaints of the original one, how they didn't light up those keys, but they lit up all these. So they have made some slight improvements. I just wish they had improved it a little bit more. Give you another sort of look around it. So yeah, that was the Saitek Cyborg Command Unit. Pretty cool little pad. Like I said, they have made some improvements, but it could use a little bit more improvements over the original one. But you guys, thanks for watching. Like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, if you want to go check out the original review of the original Pro Gamer Command Unit, I'll put a link down in the description so you guys can go check that one out if you want to. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll have heaps more gaming controller and accessory videos up very soon, so don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of that. If you liked this video, hit that like button. It really helps out a lot, guys. And as always, feel free to leave a comment down below, and of course share and favorite the video, as that helps my videos get around. Anyway guys, I am Sharkie Gamer. Thanks for watching.